Now, of course, this is an incredible embarrassment, and what it does is it forces the Kremlin to beef up their forces there. Well, they've only got so many forces, and it means they're going to have to dilute their military forces elsewhere. And you know where I'm talking about, of course, the Ukrainian front line. So all this makes perfect sense if you're trying to soften up your opponent before a major offensive. You want them to concentrate on other areas, redeploy troops, put them off foot. They don't know exactly what's happening. It makes a lot of sense, and I think the military planning by Ukraine has been exemplary up to this point. And mind you, it looks good, because it looks even better when you compare it to the incompetence of the officer class in Russia. And it shows the damage that can be done to institutions with endemic corruption. So I think that scenario of a breakup of Russia is looking more and more likely by the day. And the Free Russia Corps may well begin to recruit thousands of people. They say they've got several thousand people who are interested in joining. Well, we'll see how true that is. It's only, at the most, only a force of up to about 1,000 people, so they're more an irritant, a guerrilla force, I guess. But you never know. You just never know. There's been plenty of examples through history of small groups like that growing quite rapidly and recruiting in the countryside and causing mayhem to a government that's in a fair level of disarray. So it's becoming quite interesting, and certainly looking very good for Ukraine at the moment. I think they should be very pleased with the latest turn of events. Anyway, only one block from the shops now. The weather's held up okay, no rain at all. But the walk will do me good. It's a good work for the back, even though I'm not riding the bike. Good for back health. I did the half-hour walk to the happy hour on Friday and back, so there's an hour's walk, and did the same on Wednesday before that. So I've been getting out and about and doing a bit of exercise, and it's definitely going to make me feel better. Now with the antihistamines kicking in, might actually get some productive stuff done around the house, which would be nice. I also have looked at Vietjet flights, and they seem to be going already. There's already flights from Brisbane, which I didn't expect. I thought they were waiting till September, but I knew they'd accelerated their introduction to other parts of Australia, so maybe it's an aggressive way of just getting in really early. So the prices aren't bad. I want for flexible tickets where you can change dates and what have you, which is obviously what I want after the fiasco with my previous aborted trip. I'll be up for in the 800s, I'd say, around the 800 mark for a return trip from Brisbane to Ho Chi Minh City, and that's a full service flight, so that includes drinks, extra luggage allowance, everything basically. Just one level below business class, I guess. So I think that's bloody good value, and it only costs around $100 each way more than the basic ticket. So it's a real bargain in my opinion. So that's looking good. I've just got to find a connecting flight from here. So I was hoping Bonza, but I don't think they're flying from Cairns at this stage. Well, not to Brisbane anyway. Well, no luck with the gin. Still on order, but that's to be expected. But I've got to say, at least the guy serving, he was pretty good, because he offered an alternative. There's actually a cleanskin vodka, and it's $36 a bottle, and it's the same company because it's the same label. But so I was almost tempted to try it. I mean, I might come back in a couple of days and get that actually. I don't mind trying vodka, and I've been thinking about getting into making a few cocktails and things, doing something a bit more creative. And I mean, 36 bucks for the vodka sounds pretty good to me. So, like I say, that's a good customer service guy. I like the local place here, it's good. Most of the people working there are excellent. So, yeah, I got rid of my change too. I got rid of 5 $2 coins and 10 20-cent pieces. I'm very happy to see the end of them. So, but I'll be hitting the credit card again soon. Now I'm pretty well tapped out of cash. I need something to drink again because Richmond's playing GWS and I don't think I could be bothered going to the pub. The other thing is because I've had 2 happy hours, I've drunk beer in reasonable quantities or unreasonable quantities depending on your point of view, 2 days this week. And I think 2 happy hours might be just 1 happy hour too much for me. Sure, I don't think Steve has any problems downing him, but he's a bit bigger than me and he's got 10 years on me, almost 10 years, age-wise. Don't want to shortchange him, knows this. So, yeah, I'm getting to that age where nearly everybody I meet is younger than me. And in Vietnam, they have the standard greeting, which is Xin Jiao. But if you want to be totally correct about it, I think this might be breaking down, but in the past, you needed to also mention at the end of it an indication of where you believe you are age-wise in relation to the person you're speaking. So it can get pretty hairy. That's one of the reasons Vietnamese always ask people their ages. It's so that they don't make a social gaffe. So rather than just Xin Jiao, which is just generic, in my case, because I'm older than the person I'm speaking to invariably, it's Xin Jiao EM. So that indicates our relationship age-wise. Bit of trivia for you. So hopefully I'll have to get around to doing it. I can't do anything, well I can actually book tickets for the trip if I get those ones where I can change the dates. But it's the old story, if you get a really good price, you'll probably find that if you want to change the date, you'll have to pay an extra amount for the ticket on the other date because it's actually closer to the real price. So that's one thing to keep in mind. But the problem with Vietnam at the moment is we're still waiting to hear officially that they're going to provide a 3-month e-visa. It's currently a 30-day e-visa, but talk is, the recommendation is for them to make it a 3-monthly. And if they do, I might go there for an extended period of time rather than just the 30 days. So see how it goes. Not a biggie. I mean, I think that's more important for summer. The trouble is, I don't think I want to go to Saigon, Ho Chi Minh during our summer because it's their winter, and that's when their air pollution is really bad. It's even worse in Hanoi apparently. But it's bad enough in Ho Chi Minh. I mean, when you're coughing up black stuff occasionally, you know that there's something wrong with the air. And that's how bad it was on my previous trip when I had a 3-month visa, which wasn't an e-visa, by the way. That was you had to do a visa on arrival to get the 3-month visa back then, a couple of years ago, just before COVID hit. Within weeks or months, well, really weeks, I got one of the last flights back. It was in March that year. So I got back, the timing was very good for me. So yeah, I was lucky in that occasion. But I haven't been feeling like travelling anyway because I've been sort of run down the last few weeks. But after these antihistamines are kicking in, I'm starting to feel human again. So I think we might start getting things into top gear, but I've got to wait till late in June when we expect to get an official word on the on what's happening. I mean, I could book the tickets for longer than a month right now on the understanding it will go through. I think it will go through because Vietnam's been losing out to tourism with the likes of Thailand. So they're going to have to do something, I think. They're losing potential money. And I mean, even though their economy is doing very well compared to virtually anywhere else in the world, you know, it's still they can always do better, can't they? So we'll see. But I'm not going to get inside the mind of a Vietnamese bureaucrat. I've got no idea what's motivating them. But we can only hope that they do provide that option. I know that Fiji is really getting sick of hoons in Bali. They're now actually screening people going there, and they've put a quota on tourists there, so they're fed up with it. So the Bali option is not necessarily on the table at the moment, even if I wanted to go that way, but I don't. I'm prepared to cop the long haul flight to Saigon, and maybe if I pay more for my ticket, I might get someone who's a bit quieter sitting next to me rather than that fidgety middle-aged Vietnamese guy. Just would not stop moving. Could not get any sleep on that flight going to Vietnam last year. So, and it's luck of the draw, isn't it? One of these days I wouldn't mind doing the old business class just to check it out. But I think this will be interesting to go full service. I don't really want to eat much on the flight because it'll just go through me, and I don't want to be spending my my time going to the loo. But I suppose I can have a few alcoholic drinks. That'll make it nice. Just got to be careful if I have the sedatives as well, I suppose. But yeah, they've got a good name apparently. They've got some sort of an award on a low-cost airline list. So the woman who owns it's the richest woman in Vietnam. So we'll see how it all goes, but I think that's looking really, I'm really thinking that that's the way to go. The only hassle with it is the return flight gets in at about 10:30 in the night into Brisbane. So, which means I won't be able to catch up with Steve and the gang at the pub. It's too late. So what I might do is just spend a couple of nights in Brisbane before I go back home. Well, so I can catch up with him the following night. So we'll see what I can do there. But apart from that, it all looks good. It's a night flight going there. I think it leaves again, maybe about 10:30 at night, and gets in at 5 a.m. into Saigon. So you got the whole day, as long as the people you book with are happy for you to hold your luggage. It doesn't really worry me. So that's good. So I have actually done a little bit of research on it. I mean, I could actually make a booking with booking.com. I feel guilty though because I've cancelled a few times doing that. And I don't like doing that. I mean, I know these people just try to run a business, but if I don't book too far ahead, I might find I miss out. So, because it's going to be more of a tourist season when I go. The previous planned trip in April wasn't so busy as the time of year, but September will be. And especially with the three monthly visas are in, there'll be a lot more people there. Right, Monday morning, just passed by one of my neighbours who was walking their dog. I can't tell which neighbour because my eyesight is so crappy. I think they must be across the road. But that's the disadvantage I have with this garbage eyesight that I inherited. But anyway, It's a little on the humid side today. It's probably in the low 20s. It's a lot of clouds around. We've had a fair bit of moisture actually, a bit of rain, unusual for this time of the year. It's supposed to be the dry period, and we have had, in the main, we have had a pretty long dry patch, but just had some rain recently. So there's another one, another dog walker there everywhere. I'm hoping that the bus I catch this week isn't the ice box that I got onto last week. I actually was contemplating packing my wind cheater, but it weighs a fair bit, and I'm going to be doing some shopping and what have you on the way back, and I desperately need a haircut. I'm looking quite untidy at the moment, you probably noticed that. So I better get that. I get a haircut when it annoys me, basically. Typical guy, I guess. So it'd be good to get that done. I'm still on the antihistamines. I'm definitely feeling better for it. I don't know how many more I've got though. I might have to get another pack. But it's definitely picked me up, so it's worth taking the damn thing. So I don't like taking so many drugs, but you know, if they're having a demonstrable positive effect, why not? So it's like taking magnesium pills before I go to bed. I tend to think I do get a better night's sleep if I take one prior to going to bed. But well, we'll see. I'm pretty well run out of those. I think I had the last capsule last night. It's quite a big pack. They're quite cheap, and don't see any side effects from them. So apart from the fact it just relaxes your muscles, so that's a good thing. The grotty old chair is still out there at the bus stop. One of these days someone will remove it. One of these days. And continue on with the theme of what's happening in Ukraine. Things are definitely getting to a crucial point. It seems to me as if we are starting to potentially see, and I'm using that potential word as a caveat, the potential disintegration of Russia, because we're starting to see dissent in the media. Apparently there was Constantine who actually does a web podcast virtually every day from Kazakhstan. Yeah. Anyways, it's outside the one of the old USSR republics, and he was saying he saw on Russian TV a propaganda channel, probably the Russian media monitor. That some of the stuff they come up with is really out there, just so ridiculously over the top. But one person actually said that he believes that people shouldn't vote for Putin in the next year's presidential election. Now that is extraordinary for anybody to say that in public. Apparently they cut to a commercial pretty quickly after that, and he did get flack from the other people on the stage. But just for anybody to actually say something like that in public, it might be an indication that there's a faction, a powerful faction within the government who's now had a gutful of Putin, and they're moving on him and they're undermining him, and he's basically in a bunker at the moment, and things are not looking good. So that was an interesting indication, apart from the fact that we've had border incursions into Russia with very little resistance from the Russians. They just don't have the forces. I mean, they have to spend their time suppressing the opinions of the Russian populace. That takes manpower, so of course they're spread quite thin. But also in, I think it was in the Duma, it might have been a senator, I don't know if that's still in the Duma in Russia, which is their House of Reps, their main chamber to discuss issues. It's generally just rubber stamp city, and everything's scripted, but there was dissent there as well, of saying that we should admit that the special operation hasn't been going to plan. And again, this person got shouted down, but this is the first sign of actual dissent within that chamber, which is supposedly there for debate. But of course, in a totalitarian state, it's just used as a rubber stamp. Oh, there's the old bus. So it's pretty well on time. I just hope it's not freezing. If it is, I'll have a word to the driver at this time. So lots of things happening over there. There's a bit of a blackout on the Ukrainian side about what's actually happening with their forces, which is what you'd expect if they're just starting an offensive. They don't want to give the Russians any information that may be helpful to them. So we've got a bit of an information blackout, but if I were to stick my neck out, I'd say that we could see some huge gains by the Ukrainians in the next few weeks. I think mainly because the opposition, apart from the Wagner group, which are paid mercenaries, well, what other type of mercenary is there? I guess it's a tautology, but anyway, paid mercenaries are getting, they're the only effective force. The actual Russian army is just a joke. It just, I don't think the soldiers have any respect for their leaders, and the leaders are just, pretty corrupt and inept, and it's almost like a replay of what happened when Operation Barbarossa, when Hitler invaded Russia in '41. Initially he just made huge gains, and there wasn't much effective resistance at all. And it seems to almost be a repeat of that, but in this case it's the Ukrainians who are thrusting forward. I don't think the Russians have got the logistics to do it anymore, to make any more offensive moves. They're basically just trying to hang in there. But they do dumb things like build trenches on the sides of roads, say in the Belgorod area, which is the one that was invaded just north of Ukraine. But they leave the roads wide open. I guess they assume that anyone going down the road would be a sitting duck to be attacked, but that's exactly what the Freedom Corps did, and they didn't have any major casualties. They just basically walked through there as if they owned the place, and of course then there was panic amongst the local Russians because they've actually been brought face to face with the realities of war, which I think is a good thing. I've said all along that the Russians are deluding themselves into thinking that this will be a clean war for them. There'll be no fighting on their land. Well, forget that idea. I think we're going to find that there will be, and even if it's the Ukrainians chasing retreating Russians, they may well follow them into Russia. Who knows? They'll certainly be sending rockets and what have you in there. There's no way they're going to respect the borders in that respect, because I mean they've got to affect the Russian supply lines over the border. They can't have supply depots that are not targeted by their enemy. That needs to be done. You need to basically destroy the enemy's logistics. So anyway, we'll see how it's going, but my prediction is there's going to be so much news coming out this week. It's going to be incredible. This is going to be crucial for Ukraine, and if it all goes to plan, the goal of getting back Crimea this year can be attainable. Please consider subscribing to my channel if you think there's anything there of use to you, or entertainment or whatever, and either do that or give me a thumbs up, or if you're feeling really energetic, do both. That'd be great.